And roll.
Alright, I'm going.
Okay, so I just wanted to explain a little bit on kind of the maintenance schedule. So each of these trucks has a GPS unit on it, and it will actually estimate the mileage that it goes, and you can set in there a certain number of miles until it sends you a warning email saying that the maintenance is due. So for example, the oil change is what I have it set for about 5,000 miles right now, because you need to change it between probably 6,000 and 8,000 miles. So I set the warning at about 5,000, and then that gives me a little leeway to say, okay, in the next couple weeks I need to change it. So that ends up being, because we do so many miles for pest control, it ends up being probably every 3 months or so is what ends up happening. We put fully synthetic oil in these with a decent filter in them, so you should be able to get 6 months or 6,000 to 8,000 miles out of it without a problem, especially on the newer engines. The synthetic oil just doesn't break down like the others, the more conventional oils. So when you do the oil change, you just need to make sure that you reset the GPS after you're done, so that then it will track another 5,000 miles and then give you a warning, so that you can set up a time to maybe bring a couple of the trucks that are at a similar point and change the oil at the same time. And then go through this whole checklist here for the vehicle inspection and then things pertaining specifically to the pest control equipment. So like I said, that ends up being roughly about every 3 months that you're going to end up going through this. And that's frequent enough to check all these things. You shouldn't be having to check these things any more frequently. Oh, the one other thing, come over here, the one other thing that I forgot to talk about is the actual air filter. You can just wait right there. Okay, so air filters on these is another thing that you want to check every time you do the vehicle maintenance, so at roughly every 3 months. And on this engine, it happens to be right here. So the way you tell where the air filter is you find the engine and you find the big tube that comes off the engine and you follow that. Lots of times it'll come off this way and go over into this corner, and then there'll be a box. That's the air box. Sometimes it'll come over to this corner. Sometimes it'll be right here in the middle on this newer one. So you just follow that line until you find these types of clips. That's pretty standard on a lot of different vehicles. This one kind of throws you off because it has this accessory air intake tubing that comes over to this side. So the engine actually sucks air from this side panel over here in through here and then into the engine. So you just undo these clips like this, and then you should be able to pull it back, and then pull the filter. See, sometimes you can pull it up the whole unit out of your way like this, and here's the filter, and you pull this off, and there you go. That filter probably needs to be replaced. It's if it's just dust in here, then you can probably get away with just using an air hose. Hey, told you gotta be quiet for a minute, okay? Just hold on 1 second. If it's just dust and leaves and debris, you can probably just get away with an air hose and just blowing it out. In this case, you can see that it's kind of black, so it seems like it's been pulling in some oil from like the air or from different parts in the air and the engine compartment. So this will probably need to be replaced instead of just blown out. Okay, so then when you put it back in, it's the reverse. You get a new one, or after you've blown it out, do the same thing. Sometimes these are kind of finicky to get into place. There's some tabs on the bottom of this one that you gotta have to get to line up. So I lined up the bottom and then slide the top up and clip it back into place. Good.